Fresh off of Backlash, we are headed into Saturday night main event, which actually looks to be a pretty good card. Got some great Raw and Smackdown updates. Hit that subscribe button. You know you already want to. It's the Spandex StandUps. Welcome back.
We're back. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. A couple weeks off. How you doing?
Dude, I feel great, man. Just been traveling. Went home to Atlanta, saw the fam, went to New York, saw some fam, saw the Harry Potter Broadway show.
Interesting.
If you haven't seen it, see it. Very good. But we've just been doing stuff.
Okay.
You know,
living life.
Kind of taking a little break from comedy. I've done a show here or there, but it hasn't been the end all be all. So, been enjoying life this spring. How about you?
That's what the nice weather's all about. You know, you're supposed to get out there and relax. I went on a hiking trip with some people I've known for probably about 20 years, 25 years. We went to Olympia National Park in Washington State. Got to see some beautiful, beautiful things. I feel recharged. I feel rejuvenated. And I'm ready to talk wrestling.
And we're back.
Let's get into some news up top. Kick us off. They're talking about doing the Evolution PLE, the all-ladies pay-per-view, July 13th in Atlanta. They got a Saturday night main event planned in the night before that, so they're hoping to kick off into that.
All right, good idea. I mean, a lot of PLEs all happening seemingly on top of each other with Saturday night's main event. Then you've got Money in the Bank. Then we've got Evolution they're talking about. Then SummerSlam, and I'm pretty
also
sure
announced Night of Champions June 28th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Then you got a Saudi Arabia thing in there. So a lot of huge events, but they got a huge roster right now. So you need all these massive events so that you can kind of give everyone their main event moments throughout the year.
Exactly. You know, so you can give some people some time off. You can shine some people, you know, like really keys in on the fact that the champs got to be the flag bearers. You know, you got a lot of events to go to.
Exactly.
Also thrown in there, they're planning, rumor is they're planning a draft for later this month. Still, they have not nixed that plan. People are just worried. It usually happens in April, but I feel with Mania season happening a little later, it pushed little things back.
I think we need the draft. We need to know who's on what show. And, you know, I was surprised that they kind of took Cena off of Raw and put him more on SmackDown. You know, kind of goes to show how much WWE does really value traditional cable in the United States.
Yeah.
And they know that a lot of people watching wrestling in the United States aren't going to be watching it on Netflix. They're actually going to be watching it on cable. So, yeah, I'm surprised that the Cena-Orton feud kind of ended up on SmackDown.
Interesting, for sure.
But at the same time, you know, when you really think about it, SmackDown is on Netflix internationally. So that international crowd is still getting all the content.
Yes.
But it's interesting to see how they're treating the U.S. market still.
I appreciate it with how little Cena and Orton, like they picked it up obviously for Backlash, but how little Cena's shown up, I appreciate them putting it on SmackDown. If Jay was on SmackDown, appearing as much as he was, and Cena was just sporadically showing up on Raw, it'd be a little kick in the nuts. You know? So I'm glad. I feel like they got it right, but I do feel like a little shuffle for the draft. But we also got to keep in mind Cena has a very limited amount of appearances left. So it's not like he's going to be showing up every week.
Right.
So they might keep it as is for a little bit and change up the competitors around him.
Right.
Interesting to see. Also interesting to see Jeff Cobb debut at Backlash. And he's a Samoan?
Yeah, the way that they're introducing these guys is interesting because, you know, especially like if you're in the arena, you don't know what is going on. Like if you're in the arena, you really don't know.
Right. Yeah, because you don't hear the commentators.
We're at home, so you know Michael Cole's able to provide this context. But I was surprised that they're throwing him in this story and this crew the way they are.
Kind of rejuvenates Solo a little bit, but I don't want it to be at the expense of Jeff.
Right.
and Jacob, because they have had some battles in the past, and they're just two, like Big E says, big dudes, big old meat smacking meat, meat. You know, so I'm excited about it. I did not know Jeff Cobb was a little big guy.
What was he doing before this? Where was he?
New Japan.
Okay.
I love him in Lucha Underground. He was the Monster Matanza, and he was the main heel on Lucha Underground, and he was fantastic.
I mean, it's amazing. WWE is bringing in new stars and pushing them to the moon immediately.
That's why they had to make them cuts.
Penta. You know, a lot of these guys are coming in, and I mean, CM Punk. I mean, immediately they're coming in and they're like, "No, you're going to the top of the card. It doesn't matter how long you've been here. It matters the demand."
If the crowd likes you, they seem to be leaning into it. You know, we haven't had a chance to talk about the cuts. Any of them surprising to you?
Braun Strowman, bit surprising, you know, because he had been cut before. But, you know, I did read something. Dakota Kai as well.
That one caught me off guard. That was probably the most surprising to me.
Because they were really pushing her, and she seems like a good kind of personality in the locker room. But one thing I read was that Triple H is very strategic sometimes with these cuts, and knowing when to cut someone and when to bring them back. Oftentimes, corporations, publicly traded companies, you have to make cuts a couple of times a year at very strategic times. But then, you know, literally simultaneously while you're making that cut, you're also talking about hiring, right? So it's, you know, I think there's more that meets the eye with a lot of these cuts. And I think some of these cuts are more strategic, both for the individual that's being cut and the business to actually have a long-term relationship.
It was cool that Braun got a USA show immediately, you know, so that's dope. And WWE is producing it.
Right.
So to learn that my man, all the injuries he has, his neck's fused, he's 15% paralyzed in his left leg.
He'll probably get a Legends deal. You know, I mean, he's a great face. He's been a great ambassador.
Wyatt family, original.
You know, they made that documentary about Braun.
Yeah.
You know, that was on Peacock. So, yeah, I don't think this is the last we've seen of some of these folks. I just think, you know, it's business kind of playing out.
I hope Carter and Chance stay together on the Indies.
Yeah.
They make a great tag team. I really like them. And I would love for them to get some momentum and come back. You know, that's two of the cuts I'm definitely pulling for. Well, last of the news, and I just wanted to give it its due and give it its time to breathe. We got to honor the legend, the man. Probably lived longer than most people thought he was going to. The amount of matches and the hell he put his body through. He made it to 60.
And he had a match about 2 weeks before he passed where
20 days ago,
went
or 12
through
days ago?
barbed wire
20 days
in a pretty horrific incident. So I hope that didn't have something to do with it.
Right.
Maybe he knew something was going on.
And he said, I'm going out in style.
I need one more match. I need to feel that barbed wire on my skin one more time. But, man, what an absolute legend.
Yeah.
Sabu was, and always will be. If we want to talk about just the raw commitment to the craft of pro wrestling, Sabu is the epitome of that.
He was the main guy I liked when I'd watch ECW. Him and RVD will always be my favorite ECW originals. Man, I had a roommate that his favorite wrestler was Sabu. You know, so I got to watch a lot of classics with him, really learn the history of Sabu, you know, because I will full on admit I've always been a WWE guy, you know, when it comes to the other ones. Like, obviously, WCW first and then WWE, but, you know, they're one and the same now. But I've always loved Ring of Honor, ECW, you know, and man, those Sabu matches, just amazing and scary at the same time. And that's not really my style. I'm not a hardcore match kind of guy. I prefer the pageantry and the storytelling and the character work. But man, something about, I never got to witness it firsthand, but something about probably being in that building, late 90s ECW, mid to late, all of the 90s, had to be insane.
Yeah.
Like, hardly can you watch something and feel the energy through the television.
Right.
That's ECW. ECW. All right, let's get into these Backlash results. Jacob Fatu retains. Solo brings in Jeff Cobb to help. And they're calling him Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb, yeah. Interesting match. It felt weird to see Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest in
Scary
this match.
spot too, but luckily they're both okay.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it was a great match. You know, this fatal 4-way, kind of random.
They're like, we need these 2 matches to happen, but let's put them together.
Kind of. You know, still a lot of story development happening where you've got Drew and Damian still all caught up, costing each other, you know, titles and things like that. LA Knight caught
Took
up.
the loss.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting match. Again, Backlash always feels like a weird pay-per-view where it feels like a formality. We need a PLE. We already know how things are gonna. You already know who's gonna win.
Yeah, there's not gonna be any title changes.
Yeah. So this was, you know, so this match was kind of that where you're like, all right, we know Fatu's gonna take it.
Nice little twist.
They're using that match to put Fatu over.
Yeah.
If he can beat Drew McIntyre, former world heavyweight champion, former WWE
Priest
champion,
as well.
Priest, former world heavyweight champion, you know, LA Knight,
who they're pushing to the moon,
bona fide star. Jacob Fatu went over. That's what this match was for.
Yeah,
was
to further complicate him in Solo.
Yeah,
like you said. No titles in jeopardy here, so I was very intrigued to see how they were going to play the Lyra Becky match. Did good with Lyra retaining, but then also Becky getting in the last lap.
Yeah, this was a good match.
Yeah,
and I do love how Lyra is leaning into Bird Girl all the way. I mean, the wings,
I'm Bird Lady.
I mean, literally full on Bird Lady. Like she was alluding to it at first. Now it is full blown Bird Lady. I mean, the wings said it all. She just comes out.
It almost like they call at her too, like her caw. Dun, dun, dun,
this was a good match. A lot of physicality.
Lyra's growing on me.
Yeah, you know, and yeah, Lyra's intensity in this match. And Becky said it this next night on Monday Night Raw. I brought out the best in Lyra last night.
She did. That's the best she's looked
at. You know, it really was a career-defining match at this point for Lyra. Saw just a different intensity. We've known she's a great wrestler. What we've needed to see is the fight, the anger, the aggression, the authenticity,
what
the
makes
Sabu.
Lyra.
Can you? We don't want to be able to tell a difference between who you are at home and who you are in the ring. We want to feel like it's the same person at all times. And I think that this is what we're beginning to get with Lyra.
Yeah. Dom defeats Penta. No luchadors are safe. El Grande Americana going after everybody.
Yeah. Penta is incredible.
I love Penta. I mean, he's my favorite right now.
I mean, he's
hands down.
Complete star, all, you know, total package. Everything. It's so.
He's got a little parka walk.
And it's so good to see. You know, Vince McMahon always had a hard time treating the luchadors with like your main event, you know, you have this potential, and Triple H is like full on kind of leaning into it, which is great. But
him and Ray have so much swagger about them. Like, I've always been a Penta fan, and I've been a Ray fan by proxy because it's his brother, and I've loved the Lucha Bros. But dude, I get hyped for Ray's intro when he comes out with the. And it's time to the music, and he takes the mask off, and there's another mask underneath it. Come on, man!
It's awesome, baby. It's awesome.
I love it. So they're doing a great job with these guys, and I love that they're making El Grande Americana the antithesis to all of it. Like no lucha. Like you see, it's causing infighting. It's causing Andrade's group, Andrade to try to infiltrate the Legado, and they're crumbling. You know, we'll get to them in just a second. It's turning the luchas into each other, while also you never know if he's going to pop up in a match with that loaded mask. What a genius idea to make his go-to move a metal plate in the luchador match.
Yeah. And Dominic is still crushing.
Yeah.
Like he is, I mean, he is, gosh, leaps and bounds from who he was when he debuted at WrestleMania with his dad. And no, I mean, and all of us know, I mean, hit that moment at WrestleMania where he won and then the crowd went. For Triple H to know that this was the moment that everyone's going to like fall into Dom. I mean, it was just perfect.
And then also pull him right back and have the crowd hate him again. Yeah. He got booed again.
Yeah.
Like, we cheekily love Dom now. He's like, oh, Dom.
Yeah.
Boo.
Because he's a great wrestler.
But secretly you love him. You're still playing into the character. You're still playing into the heel work, but you're like, all right, Dom.
And because it feels like we're watching young Eddie Guerrero. It doesn't even feel like we're watching Rey Mysterio.
Well,
it feels
like
they're
completely different. I completely
he has the
agree.
build and the look. Maybe he is Eddie's son.
I mean, the older he gets, the more
I'm like, yo, you look like Eddie Guerrero in WCW right now.
No doubt.
Yeah, the hair,
the fringe
everything.
Doesn't help.
And that's
either,
what he's
bro.
going for.
I know.
Yeah, so
it plays into the heel.
Yeah,
he's like, am I Eddie's son?
Yeah.
I don't know. Gunther defeats Pat McAfee. Better match than it should have been.
Banger of a match.
I mean, obviously, Pat's put on bangers. We knew he was capable of this, but we've also seen him be a bit of a spot fest.
Yeah, but
relying on the flips. My man got his ass kicked.
This was a great match. This was a great match, great intensity.
The Michael Cole of it all added so much to it.
Yeah, I mean, and them talking about throughout the match Pat's inexperience, which then, if he messed up, it's Pat's inexperience, right? Like, I love that they're playing into that and they're not like avoiding when he jumped over the rope and kind of like...
I know we've already had the reality era, but this feels way more like the reality era.
This is the reality era.
Yeah.
No, and so, because someone even said about the whole press conference thing, like why... I think it was Josh Peck.
Because it's a sport.
From Drake and Josh.
Because it's a sport
apparently had a comment about why are they doing press conferences after wrestling events if... well, because WWE has found a way to take everything that you love about your favorite professional sports and basically create a scenario where now we can play with all of these different things. We can advance a story in the press conference. The press conference is now a part of the show. The pre-shows on Fridays before the PLEs is part of the show.
Yeah, the wrestlers walking in, getting geared up. Like, they showed Pat McAfee focused, ready to go.
But they've made it so that, like, you know, the Friday before a PLE, when they're all outside of the arena doing the big pre-show, they've made every part, they've made every piece of content they put out must-see.
Advancing the story.
Advancing the story. And it's absolutely... brilliant the way that they've done it.
The content.
This is the reality era that we're in right now.
That's what I think so. Because what you said at the presser, not only did John Cena retain his title against Randy Orton in Randy's hometown, Randy got into RKO Fest, so all is forgiven.
Yeah, and he got to whoop a bunch of ass at the end, you know.
Right. RKO.
He got to lay out a bunch of bodies.
That's all he wants to do. He doesn't care about titles at this point.
One. It's great
he took a great one.
Yeah.
Jamie took a great one.
Some of those guys, I'm like, dang, they still got it.
Shane, didn't Helms take one? But then Cena turned on poor R-Truth at the presser. R-Truth's childhood hero, who he is older than, John Cena, turned on this poor kid at the presser.
Put him through a table at the presser. I mean, that's why they're doing the presser. It's because you're able to advance stories through these things. I mean, I think they realized that it was that Miz and Daniel Bryan interview that happened, I think, on Talking Smack back when they were doing that.
Changed the game.
Where it changed the game, where, I mean, that was a next level meltdown that the Miz had and that Daniel Bryan, I think they were like, oh, we need to do stuff here. I mean, and I think The Rock smacking Cody Rhodes at the press conference in Vegas was another thing where they're like, oh, we can actually make some of the most magic in these environments, outside of the ring, outside of the confines of our typical programming. This is where we can actually make them believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now wrestlers are taking it and running with it. Look what Karrion Kross is doing for himself. Dude's the #1 T-shirt seller.
Is he?
This week he took the number one
What's his
spot.
shirt say?
Pull the string. It's tied like pull the strings, and I can't remember the actual saying it is, but it's the string.
They need to
puppeteer.
He really.
I'm hoping they're capitalizing.
I
was very upset that my man was on main event last night. Okay, let's get him on the main.
Yeah, they need to strike with Karrion Kross like big time, and I think they are. I think they got plans.
Did you see what I sent you on Instagram?
Yeah.
Who's Karrion been in the ear of lately? Sami Zayn.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy is.
Was he also in AJ's ear? I mean, he's been in.
He's been in a lot of people's ear. He's been in Jay's ear.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a theory that once we get to the the trifecta of terror, once we talk about what a terrible name, by the way, but once we get to that, I have a theory of some stuff buzzing around the internet. So we'll get to that. Axiom and Frazier defeat the Street Profits over on SmackDown, so they get a title shot. Immediately pay for it because they take a couple of knuckle sandwiches from DIY waiting for them backstage. So again, SmackDown doing a fantastic job. I don't like the champs taking a loss. Not a fan, but they really played up their beat up from the TLC match.
Yeah.
So they really played that up. So I do appreciate that a good team versus like Fraxium should beat a battered team. Again, reality era. I get that. I don't like the Street Profits taking an L, but it served the purpose and still focusing on the tag team division of SmackDown. And then you see Legado implode. Berto walked out.
Santos Escobar has been he's been really doing a great job playing his role.
Is he hurt right now? I feel like he's more of a manager role. He's also a little bit older, so they might be telling him to transition into that.
They're giving him that they're kind of just giving him that elder status that he deserves it's easy for some of these guys to come into WWE and for us to forget that these guys were legends before they got here, and then they get here and they just have to fit a story. And so,
true.
Santos Escobar is one of those guys that's like, put him on a pedestal.
He reminds me of Ted DiBiase. Those years when he had to change into being a manager because his back was just shot. I would love to see if he can't wrestle. Obviously, I want to see him.
He's still a great wrestler, but
obviously, you don't know if there's something underlying there. He's got it's always the neck. You never know how the status of somebody's neck. You know what I mean? So if he does have to transition to that, I hope they keep going with it because he can excel in that spot. And I do love the little back and forth because to me it looks like Berto's going to go join Andrade. So because Andrade has been in his ear, like, why are you taking this?
Which Berto's looking good. Berto used to look like like he used to be a jobber. He used to just look like a jobber out here, and now he's. I don't know if it's the
little glow up, man.
I don't know if it's the tat that makes it look like he got attacked by a bear, but
is that permanent or is that's
permanent?
Oh, okay,
that looks permanent.
Because it doesn't really. Yeah, it
looks touched up every week too. I think that guy goes backstage and it's just like
there's stuff you can put on it to make it really pop. I would like you said, like we said earlier, the luchadors are running things right now. Like I love in 2025, wrestling is run by the Samoans and the luchadors.
Well, I would love for at some point there to be them build up these groups and like the luchadors be like, we have taken over WWE. This is now let's start a war
with them acquiring AAA. That could happen.
Yeah.
Because they're going to want to get AAA in front of a bigger audience. It's an investment now.
Well, and that's why they're doing at Worlds Collide.
Could it really mean a Worlds Collide?
Right.
So I'm excited about. I'm just excited about the integrating of stars. I'm not excited about seeing Alberto Del Rio again. Alexa Bliss tags with Zelina and then hits us with another, telling Charlotte we need to chat.
Yeah. Which is good. I like that. Charlotte needs that. And Alexa Bliss needs that. They don't know what to do with Alexa Bliss. We all love Alexa Bliss, but they don't know what to do. That pop
again when she was Zelina's tag partner.
They don't know what to do with her. And where has the Wyatt Six been?
Is Bo still hurt? Like we keep hearing he's good, but then he's gone.
For such an epic
they've lost all that momentum.
Introduction, they've lost all the momentum.
So that's a real bummer. I don't know what in the world.
Those vignettes that they were cutting were some of the best.
Yeah.
That first month. Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to reintroduce him at this point. It sucks, man. But I'm very excited to see how they make Charlotte relevant with this Alexa Bliss. Yeah. Like if this is the pivot from the Wyatts not being ready, and Alexa's going to start manipulating people.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Well, maybe it's Alexa that actually needs to take over the Wyatts.
Can we get a darker Alexa and darker Charlotte?
That'd be amazing. Like possess Charlotte.
That's what I need from Charlotte at this point is a character change.
Well, what they need is Alexa Bliss being like, "You are the GOAT. I now control your mind."
That's great. Yes, please. Yes. CM Punk, Sami Zayn going up against Braun and Seth. I like the group they have in the main event. I like this. The main event scene on Raw is strong. It does feel like they're about to switch things up with the draft. They're kind of like, throw them together because we're about to lose them, you know? However, did you see the thing I sent you on Instagram about the chairs in hand and how there was 3 of them and 2 of Seth and Braun? So obviously the internet is abuzz. Are they getting a 3rd member? So obviously you get the standard Theory should join. I've seen everything. If they got another member, who would you want it to be?
If Sami and
it doesn't have to, it can be a 3rd person join, or it could be one of those 3 turn on them. Anybody's in play here.
Gosh, I don't know.
I don't want Sami to turn on the guys.
No, I don't, and I don't think that's going to happen.
But what makes sense to me is everyone's saying Austin Theory. I'll raise you Waller.
Yes.
Arrogant, cocky, get him more serious, more focused.
Because of them, Waller's the heel and Theory's the baby face.
Yeah.
Like, Theory doesn't realize that Waller's like gonna
manipulate. He just put him in a match. What they got to fight? Like they're obviously falling apart.
Yeah,
and they're far away from the storyline, so it kind of feels weird to bring them into it. But if people are calling for Austin Theory to be the one that joins them, I'd rather it be Waller.
But I think I don't know
because Waller's got to do something.
Why do I think that the 3rd would be Roman? You know, he's got beef with Paul Heyman too.
I think he's still got too much.
Him and Sami Zayn, like.
If one of them turned and then Roman joined the other side? Oh, like if somebody turned, because somebody's got to help, bro. Like eventually someone's going to have to help Seth and Braun. And I think Roman still hates Heyman and Seth too much.
Yeah, no, he ain't turning. Who would turn and help Seth and Braun?
What would be perfect? And it'd have
maybe Sami. Actually, maybe Sami does turn on Punk and join, but I think they're keeping.
I want Sami a face, man.
I want keeping him a face.
What I would love is a little swerve here, just to double down on the weirdness and just keep the swerve. Like what? Throw Dirty Dom in there, man.
Yeah,
push him to the top. Have him be the if Braun is the Batista of this new Evolution 2.0, have him be the Randy Orton. So
it's an interesting
and
thing.
They don't even have to add anybody. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's just weird to see CM Punk in this. Like I will say, like the backstage segment with Sami on Raw just felt a little.
Sami still hates that dude.
Yeah, but Punk. I don't like Punk in this role.
The good guy legend.
The good guy legend that's not in the main event scene. Like
I think he's gonna. I think he's there. He's in the main event.
He's hovering, but it just
and he'll get a title shot sooner rather than later.
Well, it's also just becoming obvious to me that you can only have one legend with the title at once. And right now, Cena's story. It's the summer of Cena.
You couldn't have CM Punk and Cena as the champs.
It's just two. No. You can't have 2 old timers like that.
No, God, no. They used to do that all the time, and it sucked.
and right now they're using the titles to really make guys. Look at Dom. Look at Jay. They're not putting the title on Drew McIntyre or Finn Balor, the guys that
I would love for Drew McIntyre to somehow be the 3rd person here.
They're really
that would add a lot to it.
Yeah, that would actually add a lot to it. Yeah, maybe Drew and Damian can join.
Yeah. Nah, I think Damian's going to. I think they're going to have him do his own thing for a little bit. I think they like him as that lone warrior on SmackDown. I'm full on wanting him to stay on SmackDown on the draft and just shine. Be the Undertaker.
He's
like Undertaker
good.
During those years on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Keep him just around the main event scene, in the mid card when it deserves it. Just freshen up those storylines. He needs a great feud. And this feud with Drew McIntyre has been good, but it hadn't brought out that character work.
No.
That the Judgment Day did. You know? Like
Damian and Karrion could be a good
I would love that.
That would be good.
Move Karrion over to SmackDown and just let him wreak havoc.
Yeah.
Finally got Finn versus AJ Styles. Happened on Monday Night Raw. Still a banger of a match.
Banger. It's great, and I love how they're just casually giving us this dream match on Raw, and it's like...
And they immediately were like, 2 former members of the Bullet Club.
Yeah.
One started it. One was the leader at the time.
But yeah, just the fact that they're not holding out on some of these matches, that you could tell, like, back in the day, Vince would probably be like, we can't give them that. That's a main event match. Yeah, that's a PLE match. Like, no, like... Every week we're getting a matchup that's like PLE caliber.
This wasn't even the main event on Raw.
Crazy.
We had a banger of a women's tag team match for the main event.
Yeah.
But Dirty Dom not at ringside. Finally getting the end of Judgment Day, I hope. You know, they need to go there.
Something's got to happen.
So Finn's got to do
right
something.
now.
Yeah, it's going to fall apart. She's not going to know how to keep it together when she comes back. I'm full in here for her. Raise Dirty Dom to the roof. Let Finn do his own thing. Please.
Yeah.
They got to build Finn back up. Yeah. I want him to have a main event run again before it's all said.
I think he needs to be the next world heavyweight champion.
Please. I would love that.
Yeah, because he had the title, but he would to relinquish it the next day.
And he never got a solid run.
No,
if you had that
did.
much faith in him, give it to him.
Yeah. And that was...
All of us diehards are waiting on him anyway.
That was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. But like I said, banger of a women's tag team match. Julie and Roxanne Perez belong on the main event roster. Did not look out of place with Io and Rhea immediately.
Man, killer match. Very physical. Great spots, great chemistry. Yeah, really great main event.
Building up towards Rhea and Io.
I think so.
And then got a great Becky Lynch heel promo. And then also, where's Bayley? Bayley got to come back because she got attacked by Becky.
Right.
She had beef with Roxanne, you know, so a lot has to happen.
I could see that at Money in the Bank.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I like it. All 3 of them in Money in the Bank. The ladder match would be dope.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so great right now about the product and these big events like Money in the Bank, like the Royal Rumble, is we're now at a point where we have so many wrestlers that we love, and we know some of these people, their careers are almost up.
Yeah,
like they've
already
keep
said
doing
they're
it.
not going to do it.
So there's a lot of urgency. Like this last year's Royal Rumble was the first one where I was like very genuinely excited because there's a lot of people in it.
What a stat
where time is not on their side,
right? And
they have things they want to accomplish. And there's an intensity.
In and outside of
it doesn't feel like a show anymore. Again, it feels like we're in this reality era.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm excited for Money in the Bank, is because you've got folks that are like, time is running out for me.
Yeah.
And this is so
I don't even know. I couldn't even narrow down the 6 that's going to be in it.
I mean, this last
7.
last Elimination Chamber just had a different feel and a different urgency to it with Cena, Punk, Rollins, Logan Paul, all of these guys in there.
Legend.
Yeah.
Which a bunch of people on the internet think Logan could be the 3rd member. They're like, if this group really wants heat.
Yeah.
I can see Heyman
but Logan Paul is versus Jey Uso.
That's what I'm saying. So he could at least lend his services to Bron and Seth for a little bit, since Jey is with Punk and
right.
Sammy.
No, I think they're going to keep.
Yeah, they don't. He doesn't need to be in that group. He does. He's a star on his own. I'm starting to get the fact that Triple H don't like Logan Paul. I think he realizes he's a commodity, but I don't know if he personally likes him.
Well, and again, I think it's that Logan Paul is a great commodity, and a great what's the word I'm looking for? Vanity act, attraction. Him as a full-time roster guy,
you can tell the old school part of Triple H is like, no.
Nah, it doesn't. It's not working.
No.
Him as like a guy that's there all the time is actually
off-putting.
It's actually diluting him and lowering his actual value.
I hope he disappears for a little bit after the Saturday Night Main Event.
Yeah, it's lowering his value, actually. Like, they've got to treat him like a guy that could have beaten Floyd Mayweather, not a guy that's just another jobber almost.
Very true. Well, any parting thoughts?
Yeah, I'm actually beginning to really like this Bron Breakker, Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman
feud. Come to the dark side. Yes.
This feud, this CM Punk coming out here, going after Paul Heyman was great.
Love it. You penguin, I know you're here.
Yeah, there's still a piece of me that feels like just feels like it still needs to play out a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're just in the infancy.
We're in the infancy, and I still don't totally see why someone like Paul Heyman would make the jump from Roman Reigns and CM Punk to Seth Rollins.
Because he wants to take over the WWE.
But
he sold him on his vision.
It's giving Seth Rollins a little bit of life, but I got to ask, do you think this is doing for Seth Rollins what they're intending it to do? Or does it just feel like, here we are again, pushing Seth Rollins? Like Seth Rollins is beginning to feel like what John Cena felt like, where it's like, yeah, we like him.
Maybe that's the point.
But is he being forced on us a little bit?
Maybe that adds to his heel persona. Maybe he realized this is the end of his career. He can't do it on his own anymore, but he can keep telling Heyman he's the guy. If Heyman believes in him and Braun has his back, he's unstoppable in his mind.
I think I just wanted, now that CM Punk is kind of respected and prioritized and really seen as a face of the company, I don't know. I think I just wanted another run with him and Paul Heyman kind of tearing it up. Now that he is in this position of power and so it just feels weird that we're not getting them kind of running things right now.
You just got to remember, Heyman will always be a heel, and CM Punk is too popular to turn right now.
Yeah.
And Roman is fresh off a face turn. They can't turn him back again. They can't be like, sorry.
They don't know what to do with Roman anymore.
He's in that middle ground.
The Rock really screwed him up.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing with that, but yeah, I'm excited to see how this plays out. It's definitely benefiting Braun. He attacked Jay. That was pretty cool. I think he's the perfect henchman right now. I do think eventually Seth has to get the belt for this to mean something. So don't know how they get there, because you obviously can't diminish what Jay's doing right now. My man is super over. He's the only person on that roster, minus a couple of guys like Seth, a couple of guys, that can come out to his music, not say a word, hit his music again, and get a louder pop.
Did you see how he almost threw that kid over the railing?
That was hilarious.
I was like, put him in the other hand.
Dad,
put the kid in the other hand.
Dad didn't care. Dad
I'm like, whoa, you might drop that kid, and he's...
It still blows my mind how off rhythm people can be. It is the easiest move to and people are like.
But Jey Uso to me right now is what's perfect about wrestling. Right now is he comes out, everyone's into it. The little kids love it, but then there's also a part of if you're just like a 30-year-old dude that loves hip hop and wrestling, and you're also into it.
Day one.
He right now is kind of showing that you can be authentically you, not really sand your edges, and still appeal to everyone and everything.
Jacob are just there, all gas, no brakes, bro. Getting to be them authentic self.
Yeah.
Where can they find you? What you got coming up?
Where can you find me? Find me on social media, y'all. Instagram at Evan Berke, BERKE, YouTube, Berke Comedy, and yeah. That's where y'all can find me. Where can they find you, Drew?
Laugh with Harrison on Instagram, DrewHarrisonComedy.com. Got a new show coming your way called Oh Hey Guys. It's going to be out every Monday starting here in a week or so be on the lookout for that. Hit that subscribe button. Share us with all your friends. We'll see you next time.